Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Marvelous Monday. I'm Leslie Watkins. So I hope everybody had a nice weekend. I've been busy all weekend long getting ready for my upcoming classes and workshop. So if you're following along, you know that I'm excited about the honeybee uh, workshop, and I've made several videos, and I hope that you'll go back and watch them if you haven't seen them already. There is a special going on right now where I'm offering a free botanical watercolor workshop where I'm going to show you how to paint a botanical watercolor, and it's free with a $50 or more order only until February 28th, and I think that's about 7 or 8 days away. So there's not a lot of time. This is a flash class, and it's very important to me because if I get enough students in the class, I'm going to promote to Silver Elite, and and that's why I'm offering the special class. So I'd really love it if you would join me. It's going to be a very comprehensive class on how to paint a botanical watercolor with card makers specifically in mind. So I just wanted to show you some of the recommended supplies that you might want to get to prepare for that class. If you look at the post that I posted with the picture of the dandelion, you will find a recommended materials list, and I'm going to include that in the description of this video when I'm done. So I can't do it while I'm in the midst of doing the live videoing, but afterwards I'll be able to put all the links and the information that you'll need. So some of the items that you might want to consider getting are the Garden Wishes stamp set. Okay, and that looks like this. It has a dandelion stamp, which is the one that we're going to be using. You can also sketch your dandelion freehand if you prefer. In fact, I encourage you to do that. But if you're somebody who is not feeling confident with your drawing skills, this will help you to get started. The Dandelion Wishes stamp set also has some matching dies. These are called the Dandy Wishes dies, and you can get these together in a bundle and save 10%. So that is one stamp set. For the honeybee workshop, which is a separate thing, but it is related, I would recommend the Honeybee Home stamp set. And I like this one because it's got several different bees in it. Now this one also has a bee in it. Okay, so that could be a lot of fun. This bee is very similar to this bee, but this one also has these two other profiles. It also has these lovely floral designs. This is the one that I used in the embroidery that I did for the cover of my needle book, and I will be for the people that sign up for the honeybee workshop, I'm going to be including the instructions on how I put together the embroidery and that needle book. So you can see that in a previous video. The Honeybee Home also has dies. You can get these with the bundle at a 10% savings. And not only does it have these framelits that will cut out these shapes, but it also has a couple of really beautiful, very delicate wildflower kind of dies, which I've used also in a previous video, and I like those quite a bit. So those are the main stamp sets. So you'll want to get one or the other of these, or maybe both. You're going to need some clear blocks. So I have a few pulled out. You're definitely going to need the E clear block. This is the letter E clear block because that's going to fit over this image. And then I have a smaller block. This is a bee, appropriately named. Okay, so this is a bee block, and that's going to fit these bees just right. And then I also pulled out this one, and this is an H block. And this is nice for these longer sentiments. So if you want to stamp a sentiment, this is a very nice size to have. All right, so I think those are the tools. All of these things are on that list that I mentioned. I also have Sahara Sand ink and the colors Bumblebee and Old Olive. And I just want to show you, I have a couple of cards here. So this card was made using the Garden Wishes, and I'm going to be demonstrating a card very much like this today, except that I'm going to show you how to make a French mat for it. And then this card, which is kind of similar, uses the designer series paper as a mat, and this one was made using the Honeybee Home stamp set. Okay, so I think that's all the business. Oh, one more thing. So if you sign up for the free botanical watercolor class and place your order of $50 or more, you must use the host code. So there is a host code associated with this class, and you will find that on the post right here on my Facebook page or in the description below. And when you do that, you will automatically be registered for the class. So look for that host code, use it on your order, and you'll be automatically registered for the class. Now, the other thing is that when you place an order between now and the end of the month, February 28th, you will also qualify for free products from the Sale-a-bration brochure. So you're going to get a prompt that says something like, what free products would you like to get? And one of the things that you can get out of the Sale-a-bration brochure for a $50 order is this pack of Simply Marvelous 6x6 designer series paper. And in here you have an assortment of colors. Let me spread this out so you can see it better. It's really beautiful. So here's some blues, a gray, some kind of a blue-green, a violet, some yellows, and some pinks. So these are double-sided papers. So on this side, you see you have a kind of a marble stone-looking effect, and on this side you have more of a satin marbled-looking effect. And the reason I'm showing you these particular papers is because I'm going to be using these today to create something called a French mat. So traditionally, when you have a fine botanical watercolor, something like this. So this was a painting that I did using the Garden Wishes stamp set, and then I just painted it in with watercolor. Very, very easy, quick and easy. This is what I'm going to be showing you how to do in the free botanical watercolor class. The traditional way of framing these things is by using marbleized paper, and a lot of times they have a very fine pinstripe of gold to help set that off, and that gold can either be on the inside of the mat, something like that, all right, or it could be both on the inside and the outside of the mat. But it's just a very fine gold line that's generally ruled on there using a ruling pen and gold leaf. But we can use our papers to get the same effect. And then over here, I've got a couple of pieces of cardstock. So this is Mossy Meadow, and this is Bumblebee. And if I zoom you out a little bit, you can also use these colored mats to pick up some of the colors that are in the painting. So I'm going to play around with these things today and show you how you can make a facsimile of a French mat for your fine watercolors on your card fronts. So to do that, I have a card base. This is the Very Vanilla. So the creamy Very Vanilla looks better with the watercolor paper because it's closer in tone to it. This is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper that I have in the recommended supplies. And all of these other things, you don't have to write anything down. All of these things are on the list. Okay, so you will get the link either at the bottom of this video description, or you can go back and you can find the picture of the Dandelion watercolor, and there's a link there that you can click that will bring you to the right place with all the supplies, and you can either check on or off the ones that you would like to have. And when you do that, you will automatically be using that host code, and you will automatically be enrolled in the watercolor, the botanical watercolor class. All right, so I think that covers that. What I want to do is get my trimmer out and cut down a few of these things. The dimension of the artwork is 3.5 by 5. So it's just a slightly different proportion. It's a little more narrow than the proportion of the card base, and that's okay. But what I think I'd like to do is I think I want to change it slightly. I want to make this a little bit more narrow because I want that beautiful marbleized paper effect to show. I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. I'm going to take I'll start by taking a 1/4 of an inch off the top and bottom. Okay, and I think I can now that gives me a closer proportion to the card base. So I like that. So I just so the finished measurement now, let me get my ruler out and I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's 4.5 by 3.25. Now if you look closely, you can see that there's just a little bit of a burr from my cutting blade because it's getting a little bit dull. And all you have to do is take a emery board and just go around the edge, and you can remove that little bit of a burr. This is something I used to do way back in the day when I was working in design studios, and we had to make these little display cards, and they had to be absolutely perfect because they were for the display cases of Tiffany and Company. So you can imagine that everything had to be just so. So we would use a nail file just to clean up those edges. So there's a good tip for you. Okay, so there is that, and I'm very happy with that. And so I want to decide, I think I'm going to go with the green. Let's see how this looks. You want to take your time doing this. You don't want to do anything in a hurry because you made the effort to make your beautiful painting. So you want to make sure that you show it off to the best effect. So I like that quite a bit. All right, so I'm going to take the Mossy Meadow and I'm going to cut this at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And that's going to come very close to the edges of my card. Okay, then I'm going to use my DSP, and the name of this paper again is Simply Marvelous. Okay, and this is found in the Sale-a-bration brochure. This is one of the items that you can only get with a $50 or more purchase. You get this free. So for every $50 that you spend between now and February 28th, you get to pick a free product, and this could be one of them. And I really recommend it. It's beautiful. So I'm going to cut this down now at 5 1/4 by 4. Let's see how this looks. And all of these scraps are beautiful. I'll save these for another project. Okay, that's perfect. So this is just enough to give me that pinstripe effect that would normally be done with paint. So in the fine French mats, all of these very fine pinstripes are painted on with gouache, with a very fine brush and a very steady hand. Also, you can use something called a ruling pen, and a ruling pen is a tool that you can adjust the thickness and you can get a very fine, uniform, perfect line on your work. And that's something I used to do a long time ago. But the trimmer makes it very easy to get the same effect with paper. All right, so it's coming together something like this, and that looks great, just like that. But I think what I'd like to do is put a little tiny gold border, just enough to pick up the light. So again, this measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So I'm going to take my gold foil paper and I'm going to cut this just a little bit bigger, so just 1/8 of an inch bigger. So that's 3 3/8 by 4. Oops. Let me make sure I cut that right. Did I? No. Oops. Okay, hold on. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. You want this to measure. Let me do it again. Make sure that I've got this right. So 4 1/2. We want this to be 4 5/8. There we go. Okay, so that's going to give me that very, very fine edge. And then again, this way is 3 1/4. So we want this to be right there at 3 3/8. There we go. That's what we're looking for. It's just a hairline, very delicate. Okay, so all we have to do now is put these things together. So let me just clear away some of this stuff so we have a nice place to work. I'm going to be using the multi-purpose liquid glue for this. And I'm just checking to make sure that my settings are working. Oh, hello everybody. There's Catherine, Peggy, Pamela, Sandra, Teresa, and Carol. Wow. Okay, Becky. Everybody's watching today. Thank you all for tuning in. This is a really nice way to set off your work, and particularly when you're doing your botanical watercolors, this is a very nice way to display them. Now, as you know, the gold foil paper is not absorbent because it's a foil paper. And I could use the multi-purpose liquid glue on there, but it would take a minute to set up. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use my double stick tape, and just to make it a little bit cleaner and a little bit quicker. And I'm just going to put that on around the edges. I hope you're all considering taking this opportunity to have a free watercolor class with me, all you folks that are watching today. Those of you who have studied with me in the past know that these classes are very comprehensive and you will learn a lot. So this is a terrific opportunity to learn how to get started using watercolor. And you can use these same techniques, by the way, with your water-based inks and your watercolor pencils. And in fact, the concepts, these are foundational art concepts. They translate into any kind of coloring that you may do using your blends or any kind of painting. So it's a great chance not only to help me to promote and reach my goal, but also to really get more bang for your buck with the Sale-a-bration items too. So I'm just removing the backing here. This is the double stick tape called Tear Tape, and it's about 1/4 of an inch wide, and it's wonderful. You want to have this in your adhesive kit. Now, if I get my head in the camera here, I'm sorry, but I've got to get very close to this to see exactly where I want to place this. So I'm just going to judge what that is. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. I think it can go a little bit more this way. All right. Okay, so there is, I don't know if you can see that, but there's that beautiful gold edge. Now I'm going to use my liquid glue. And by the way, you know, if you check out that materials list for the watercolor workshop and you already have those items, you don't have to get those items. You can select any order, any product of $50 or more and still qualify, so long as you use that host code. That's the important thing, because that way I know that you've registered and that's what you want to do. So make sure you get that host code, and I will be posting that below in just a few minutes so that it's handy. Now when you assemble your card, you want to start from the top down, as I'm doing here. I think it just makes it a lot easier. You could do it from the bottom up, but I just think that it makes it a lot easier to line everything up if you do it in this order. Those of you who were in the design journal workshop some time ago, you are going to want to pay attention to the honeybee workshop, because you're going to love what we make in that workshop. And part of it will be using some of the materials and some of the techniques that I'm using here excuse me, in this watercolor class. So it all kind of goes together. Running out of glue, just enough to finish this. Make sure I've got my card going the right way. Now when you place your mat on the cover of your card, you want to be sure that you have it nice and even on these three sides. Okay, so if it's slightly off, let it be on the fold side of your card and you'll get a very professional looking effect. And there is my beautiful botanical with a classic French style mat with the marbleized paper. Well, the actual French mats would be handmade marbleized paper with the gold leaf border. But I think this is a very pretty way to do it using our wonderful products from the catalog. So once again, this is Garden Wishes using this image on the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. This is the gold foil paper. This is the free paper from Sale-a-bration called Simply Marvelous. Okay, and you get this wonderful pack, all these pieces for free. There are, how many? There's 48 double-sided pieces in here. Okay, and you can see the difference between the two different styles, front and back. And I used the Mossy Meadow cardstock for the pinstripe around the edge and the very vanilla card base. So let me just check and see if anybody has any questions. And while I'm waiting for your questions to come in, I'm just going to add an envelope. And I wonder, that could be kind of pretty. Let's put a let's measure. I think I'm going to put this on the outside flap. So this is 2 1/4. So I'm going to go back into my paper stack here, grab another piece, and cut this down to 2 1/4. And let's see, which side do I want? I think I want to do it on this side, this more subtle one. I like that. So I'm going to cut this so I get this nice veining in here. So there's my 2 1/4, and the width of the envelope is going to be 5 3/4. So I'm going to take just a little bit off of here. This time I'm going to put the glue on the flap. You could also do this on the inside of the envelope flap, which would be very pretty. But I'm going to put it on the outside. Put it this way. For those of you who have already started signing up for the class, thank you so much. I'm really excited about it, and I want to thank you for helping me to reach my goal. It really makes a difference. The part of this is celebrating my 5-year anniversary with Stampin' Up. So it's been a long time that I've been working towards this, and I want to thank you so much for helping me to reach that goal. All right, now I'm just going to take my snips . There we go. So there's a very special card that you could send to somebody very special. Now let me just check and see if anybody has any questions here. And, oh, there's even a lot more people. Hey, Linda, Pamela, Sandra, Deborah. I'm always surprised to see Deborah because I always expect her to be at work. Hi, Deb. Good to see you. Do you ever make handmade paper? I think I'd like to try it. Sandra, that's such a great question. I have not made handmade paper, but I've been collecting the materials in order to do that. So one of the really fun things that you can do with handmade paper is to put little bits of threads or leaves or flowers, things like that. And so at my sewing machine, I have a little bin, and all of the little snips from the threads that I use in my journals, like the metallic gold and the linen thread and stuff like that, I've been saving so that when I eventually do make the handmade paper, I'll have some things to put into it. So, and I've got an old blender in the basement that I've been saving just for that day. Okay, let's see. Sandra says, I glue the DSP on the flat, then fussy cut it off. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay. Linda's decorating her flats too. And everybody's saying they like the card. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions. There's Beverly. Hey, Beverly, you made it. Teresa says it's Marvelous Monday. Yes, it is. It's very funny. All right. Well, I guess if there's no more questions, I'm going to let you go and get ready for your day, or for the second part of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please, if you are thinking about placing an order, please do it using the host code so you can get a free class with your order and get the Sale-a-bration products. This is a great time. It's going to be a win-win-win. So I hope you'll join me. Thank you so much, and I will see you on Wednesday for Watercolor Wednesday. And if you just give me a minute, I will get all those links posted to the bottom of the video today. Have a great week. See you soon.